I have done many different builds. Some were strong, some were weak, some were interesting, and some were cheap, and some were very expensive. But very few of them were so annoying to play as this one. And I'll explain how it works when I talk about items. But for now I want to talk about general build overview. The potential of this build is pretty high, and it does pretty good damage, actually very good damage. It is especially good against big pack of monsters, and it does well against bosses, but not all. It is also not the cheap one, but it can be done in many different ways and it can become much cheaper. But there are a couple things that just infuriate me. First of all, when you enter a map, you have nothing, and because this is automated animate weapons, you cannot summon them manually. So you first need to kill enemies and pray that they drop some weapons. Or every time you enter a map you need to also carry your own weapons and drop them on the ground near the enemy pack while most likely taking damage, and then kill the enemies and hope that you will trigger that auto animate weapon skill. If not, you're gonna have to pick those weapons that you just dropped, move to next enemy pack, drop them again and repeat the same stupid process. And that is not all. If when you enter the map you meet Harbinger enemies just right at the start, then just, oh my god, just kill me already. And the problems do not end here. You can't forget about trading. You will not want to leave your map and lose all animated weapons just for a trade. Also, you can forget about picking up chromed weapons, 6 socket weapons. Oh, and you better pray that you don't get 6 link weapon, because most likely it will auto animate using that weapon. Harbinger enemies and some bosses will rip your animate weapons. Well, unless you kill extremely fast. But if you don't, your only chance is to use Worm Blast to possibly get few more weapons. Of course, if there are weapons on the ground. If there are not, you're gonna have to go to town, buy weapons, bring them back, drop them while taking damage, click those stupid flasks, and hope that you can trigger those animate weapons. So, as you can understand from my voice, it is kind of frustrating build. I know there are other players who did auto-animate weapon builds and maybe they got more success. So if this idea interests you, also check some other player build guides. Now, items and how this works. Actually, I did this build in Legacy League, but back then this automation process was very unreliable. But in 3.0 we got a new helmet, Speaker's Wreath. For now, ignore this scaling with dexterity, it is pretty much useless. But focus on this. Minions hits can only kill ignited enemies. And I'll explain why this is important after showing the next weapon. Jorha's Black Steel Hammer. By the way, it is pretty expensive. This weapon has 25% chance to trigger level 20 animate weapon on kill. And weapons you animate create an additional copy. Now, understand this. When minions do the killing blow, it does not count as your kills. However, if enemies die from poison or ignite, then it is considered as your kill. So what you want to do is prevent your minions from killing enemies and actually from igniting them. Because if they kill ignited enemies, it won't trigger this automate animate weapons. So by using elemental focus, you prevent your minions from accidentally critical striking enemies and igniting. And the helmet prevents minions from basically killing any enemies. However, you support your minions with poison, actually lesser poison, so that the enemies will always die from poison. And that will count as your kills and will trigger this, well, have a chance to trigger this automate animate weapons. By the way, sockets in the hammer do not need to be linked. I'll explain few more things when I talk about skills. Next item that I decided to use is Chevron's Wrapping and go low live as Guardian. No, not as Guardian, Guardian. Only because I wanted to get more, well, tankiness, more armor, and also give more armor to minions. I'll explain it in the passive skill tree section. Another unique item that I'm using is that annoying Breathing Jar, also known as Worm Flask. And I am using Bisco's Collar because it is supposed to give me more weapons to animate, but the build is still annoying. My gloves, boots, rings and belt has a lot of energy shield and resistances, of course. Now for auto-animating weapons there is also another option. There is a buff called Null's Inclination. Well, it is not going to be automated because you need to kill with this weapon and not just general kill. So you would have to still use some buff skill. Your minions would basically drop enemies to 1 life and you would just finish them off. Now, skills and links, and I will also explain a few more things. My gems in that unique hammer are minion damage, elemental focus, melee splash, increased duration, multi-strike, and lesser poison. And yes, I am not using range animated weapons. I just don't like doing that, because if you do use range animated weapons, then your melee minions will become weaker, because you will not be using melee splash and multi-strike, and instead you will be using either LMP or GMP, and I guess faster attacks. Well, that would increase your clear speed, but still. But then say bye bye to all the Chron ranged weapons and 6 socket ranged weapons, and you would need to adjust passive skill tree a bit. And that means less energy shield. So yeah, that's why I'm not using ranged animated weapons. Now, I am using a lot of auras and I don't really have a lot of sockets. So this is important. In my helmet I have Hatred, Wrath, Generosity and Stone Golem. In my gloves I have Anger with Blood Magic and Clarity and Flame Dash. Flame Dash level 1. Now, the Anger aura is not supported by Generosity and it also affects me, because I am using Scorching Ray, Cast while Channeling, Firestorm, Elemental Focus, Control Destruction in my armor. So the Anger aura also gives me flat fire damage to my Firestorm. And because I am always on low life, I can use Pain Attunement, which boosts my spell damage. So I do have quite a bit of spell damage, and my Firestorm and Scorching Ray does quite a bit of damage. Not very good, but still good enough to start a killing spree and start animating weapons. Now, you might ask, why not use something like SRS for starting the killing spree? Well, I was using it, but it was also kind of annoying. And when you meet some enemies with high life regen, you will understand that the poison from minions is very weak, and you basically will be watching the enemies not dying and shouting on your minions. So you kind of want to have some spell or degen to kill enemies. And Scorching Ray also lowers enemy fire resistance, making them weaker to minions attacks. Not much, but still a bit noticeable. Now, there is another option. You can use Lighting Spell and get Elemental Equilibrium, but you will have to support your Anger with Generosity, so you do not deal any fire damage with your Lighting Spell. And when you use a Lighting Spell, you will trigger Elemental Equilibrium, increasing enemies' lighting resistance but lowering enemies' cold and fire resistance, making your minions do more damage. The problem with that is I don't have enough sockets, because I still need something to start the killing spree. If I use minions, I need to use Elemental Focus and support with Lesser Poison, and most likely Melee Splash. So that is already 4 sockets. By the way, minions do not trigger Elemental Equilibrium on their own, and if you only use falling minions, they will not do very good damage. So this option is not very viable unless you want to sacrifice something else. And by something else I mean either Convocation or Flesh Offering, or other offerings if you prefer other offerings. Talking about offerings, in the boots I am using Flesh Offering level 20 or whatever highest you can get, Cast and Damage Taken level 1 with Convocation level 5 and Discipline. And I like having Cast and Damage Taken with Convocation, because when I suddenly start getting hit, I automatically summon my minions onto me and they kill everything around them. And also I do have Elemental Weakness, which I cast manually, since my minions do mostly fire, cold and lighting damage. So as you can see, I have no free slots left, so I cannot use Val Haste. Well, unless I got a very good unsocketed ring, but that would make me lose some energy shield. Also, it would be very nice to get some minion speed on your rings, but that may be hard because you need good ring. You need a lot of resistances and energy shield. So the items can be changed in many different ways. I'm not gonna talk about leveling process because, well, I did a mistake and just don't level as Hybrid Life and ES. Just level as pure life build and then respec into energy shield. So yeah, let's talk about passive skill tree. It seems a bit like a mess, so I'll just mention the keystones and important things. Oh, starting with why Guardian? Well, because I do have Zealot Oath, I can use Time of Need, which basically heals my energy shield every 5 seconds for 30%. Also, because I am reserving almost all of my life and mana, I do get a lot of armor to me and to my minions, and also energy shield. And without using flask, I do get over 5000 armor. Also, because the more mana you reserve, the more energy shield you get, it is good idea to get Mind Over Matter and those nodes behind it. Those 4 nodes give me nearly 400 energy shield. I am also using efficient training unique jewel because I do need more strength. Well, enough for the weapon. Also for any animate weapon build you do need skill effect duration. So I took those 3 nodes, and there are more nodes below the cyan, but it is for higher level. Also I had to take almost all mana reservation nodes. You can also use energy from the Fin Jewel and socket it here. It's not very cheap, but you will get more energy shield, but you will lose some armor, because the less life you have, the less you reserve, the less armor you get from Guardian. But still it's probably a good trade if you can afford it. Oh, I almost forgot. Probably the most important node that you must take is Arcane Vision. Without it, you will be blind, especially in indoor maps. Now, if you actually want to do ranged animate weapons, you can socket that threshold jewel here and here. This passive tree is for level 83. The rest I would probably take more minion life nodes because they do die a lot against heavy elemental damage enemies with big AoE. Or take more energy shield near the shadow. And if you decide to take more energy shield, you can get over 6000 energy shield. Maybe even close to 7. Or maybe you want to take more skill effect duration from the passive skill tree near Cyan, and instead of using increased duration gem, you can use another damage gem. So yeah, many ways to improve and many ways to do it differently. Man, I just want to be done with this build and move on to my next build. Hopefully way more enjoying. I think the next video should be really fun, so if you haven't, subscribe and check my other video playlists. And that's all. Thank you for watching and see you soon.